there.
Now it's time to take a look through some of the talking points from the week.
Yeah, joining us to run through the week's news are journalist and writer Christina Patterson and comedian Aatif Nawaz. And this week, in his biggest diplomatic test, Prince William became the first member of the royal family to make an official visit to the Palestinian territories. The Duke of Cambridge, who started his Middle East trip in Jordan, toured a market in Ramallah and spent a moment in quiet prayer at the Holy Wailing Wall in Jerusalem's Old City.
Christina has such a sensitive issue. How do you think he did?
I thought he did amazingly well, I must say. I mean, people tend to speak about Prince William as if he's, nice bloke, not Einstein. And, that may be true. But I have to say, this is a diplomatic minefield, and he was clearly very, very carefully briefed. But he didn't put a foot wrong, and he managed to win both sides over. I think one or two people have said, he shouldn't have talked about the occupied territories. Well, they are the occupied territories, so that was just factually and legally accurate. But really, to have got the Israeli president and the Palestinian president and all those people in all those different factions on his side was an astonishing achievement. And it was also very touching to see how he related to people. And I think in particular he was profoundly moved by the plight of the Palestinians. And I think, good on him. He really brought something quite tricky off.
Yeah, Aatif, at the front of the Sunday Mirror, Will's Middle East peace is my life mission. So according to the Mirror, that's a tall order, isn't it?
Yeah, good luck to him.
In terms of religious and political tightropes, this is as high as they get, isn't it?
Well, I like that he's up for the challenge, you know what I mean? Because it is very challenging. You see a lot of heads of state and, people in positions of influence or privilege avoid avoid talking about the Middle East or avoid talking about the conflict or the two-state solution or whatever it is that's brought up about it. But he's going for it. And I really like that because, there's this perception about the royal family. Sometimes they're very passive and they don't play a role or they certainly want to avoid talking about anything controversial. And it's a very ceremonial thing. Whereas this is like a really noble, admirable aim for his life. And he'll win a lot of supporters in the Muslim community as well, acknowledging the occupied Palestinian territories and Palestine and the plight of the Palestinians. So I think it's great. And if he can, listen, I'm backing him. What can I do to help, Prince? You tell me, because let's bring peace to the Middle East.
So, Christina, this story caught your attention. It's from the Metro, and it's some new research from the University of Bath about people not wanting a perfect life.
Well, I think this is quite a heartwarming story because everybody now, you hear that everybody wants to be Kim Kardashian and everybody's kind of gazing at social media all day long, feeling miserable about how fat, ugly and poor they are. And actually that's not the reality. And just as well, because we can't all be Kim Kardashian or Einstein or, the Prime Minister, although I don't think anyone wants to be the Prime Minister at the moment, actually. So let's put that to one side. Apart from Boris Johnson, who would be a terrible Prime Minister.
Is he happy?
And he's not. That's exactly the point. None of these people ever are happy, are they? When you aim that high, you only ever fail. The entire cabinet are miserable because they all want to be Prime Minister and, they don't like the Prime Minister. So I think most of us can only lead quite modest lives. Most of us are not going to set the world on fire. And if we can gain pleasure from the people we love and spend time with and from looking at a beautiful view and from having a nice glass of wine or, a nice bar of chocolate or whatever, so much the better. So I think this is great news.
There's only room for one Kim and Kanye, isn't there? That's enough.
And I want to be them, and I missed out. I've been miserable ever since.
Just keep trying. Aatif, what is happiness?
I don't know. I think it's an abstract concept, isn't it? What is happiness? I do like the idea of chasing some kind of fulfillment outside of perfection, like having a life free of conflict seems so boring. I mean, who'd want to watch a movie called The Even Couple, right? You want conflict in your life. You need to make things interesting, and that's what makes you appreciate it, right? It's it's like going to the gym. You go to the gym and you struggle and you hate it. If you're anything like me, you absolutely detest it. But when you come out of it and you feel good about it, that was the journey, right? It didn't go very far, but it was a journey of being on a treadmill. It's just those little conflicts and little challenges that help you build a character. And I understand people wanting to not have a perfect life, but there's also there's a bit of kind of privilege there as well, like not being able to have a perfect life. I acknowledge I have plenty of privilege in my own life, but there's people in the world that are really having a hard time where a perfect life for them is something that we couldn't even conceive of. So at the same time, I like to just take a step back from that thought and think, you know what? I've got a good life. I'm very grateful for it.
Now, this is a strange one in the mail. We're split on this. For me, toilet time is personal time. It's your moment to yourself. No one else should know what's going on there. But it seems that Spending a Penny may actually be a bit more revealing because they're developing an intelligent toilet that's going to monitor, well, without going into too much detail, your wee, and potentially could send that data to the doctor and flag up all sorts of things.
It's a very interesting story about how they can analyse your urine. They can tell you things about your health, about your, whether you're pregnant or not, all sorts of things.
Whether you had a few beers the night before.
Whatever it is, that's in your thing. I'm with you, though. You know, I want when I'm in the toilet, I kind of want privacy. I don't mind. Follow me anywhere else in the rest of my life. Just don't follow me into the toilet or after me or whatever the situation may be. Like, it is kind of private. I can only imagine how much of a shock it would be to the people who find out. Imagine just thinking, you know what, I'm just bursting for a wee. I just got to go, and then I'm pregnant now. It's not the way you want to find out, I feel like, if you have an inkling.
That's part of the positive side of the story.
Sure.
Because I love the efficiency. I love the efficiency of it. And also, if you're trying to monitor your diabetes or trying to become pregnant, that's really helpful information. Christina, do you think that it's a good thing?
I think it's an absolutely horrible thing. I note that Sean is wearing a Fitbit and you're wearing some kind of incredibly fancy smartwatch, and you're clearly monitoring your every calorie unit, sleep, etc. Count me out. I just like to live my life in the way I want to live it, and I don't want to be nipping to the loo and discovering that I've, failed yet again on some awful graph I didn't know that I was being assessed by. And I don't want an employer, sort of monitoring how many units I had at somebody's leaving do last night. Really, leave it, guys. Too much information.
Yeah, and if I come to your house, I'm not going to the toilet. I'm going to go in the garden because I'm really worried.
I'm monitoring CCTV sign above it. So this next story is from The Guardian, and it's about boomerang children. So rising house prices, children are having to move back home with their family, but a study shows that it could potentially strengthen relationships.
Well, that's certainly not the information I'm getting from friends of mine whose children have moved back, who are kind of desperately, dropping hints to their kids about when the hell are you going to be leaving. I don't really believe this study. It's a very small-scale study. I think it was only 54 families were involved, and there have been other studies that have shown exactly the reverse on a much larger scale. There's something slightly precious about this story as well. I absolutely accept that house prices, particularly in the southeastern London, are, ridiculous. So you have to be a banker to even think about, buying a studio flat anywhere. But the idea that you're kind of, taking your young adults back into the family home and kind of nurturing them for their first internship, and then gradually kind of pushing them down an employment path and helping them get a roof over their head. I don't know. I mean, it just all seems a bit mollycoddling to me. And when are they going to leave? 55? Is there a cut-off date?
Because it used to be that, you would look after your parents, your elderly parents, and now the parents are looking after the children all the way through their life.
Yeah, you got to worry about the current generation. Though I've got to say, I'm from a South Asian heritage, right? And a lot of people sort of from Indian, Pakistani backgrounds, they're kind of brought up with the notion that, well, you don't leave your parents' home. You stay there forever. You have kids there. You get married there. You're going to be there forever, right? But then, having said that, I think that thought has changed as well over time. People want to kind of move out, they're more encouraged to seek their independence and kind of grow the family, as it were, geographically as well as geologically as well. Yeah. Geologically growing a family, that's a discussion for another program. But yeah, no, I like the idea of people, for whatever reason, reconnecting with their family.
OK, let's turn our attention to Bristol now, where a group of kind-hearted students went viral this week when they helped out a cleaner at their university by raising money for him to visit his family in Jamaica. Take a look at this.
This is from all the students at Bristol University.